welcome to our first class for today, which is our Aqidah class. And today, this is our class on diluting, Wala Wal Bara, which is speaking about the meaning of that testimony of faith that we declare, you know, every time we we recite the Tashahhud. You know, it's all about declaring our allegiance to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and our allegiance to Allah and our allegiance to each other. And this is something that we really need to work on, especially with what's going on with our ummah today. This is not a war against Palestine, like I told you guys. This is a war against Islam. You know, it's against all of us because they don't like any of us. You know, it's everything just begins like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Everything begins at that in that part of the world, but it will trickle around to all of us. There will be no place on this earth that will not experience this war once it does actually take place. So, you know, how do we prepare ourselves for it? How do we deal with it? By strengthening our faith, by calling ourselves back to Islam in its truthfulness with the understanding of those companions. That's what it's about, calling ourselves back. For so many years now, Muslims have thought that they were giving dawah. We called ourselves giving dawah to the non-Muslims. But as we can see, in reality, the non-Muslims were giving dawah to us. They were giving dawah to us because we've taken on their behavior. We've taken on their way of doing things. Okay, we've taken on their different beliefs and practices. We're celebrating their holidays. We're dressing like them, emulating them, becoming like them. So the reality is, guys, while we think that we've been doing all this dawah, no, the non-Muslims have been doing more dawah than us. Remember, one of the things that I always remind my students of, Allah is the one that makes Muslims, not you, not me. Allah makes Muslims. Allah is the one that can change and turn the heart of man. The heart of man lies between the fingers of Allah. So while we believed we were given all this dawah, you know, look at us. We've distanced ourselves from our Lord. We've distanced ourselves from our way of life. We've taken fatwa over the sunnah. We were just talking about it in my Zoom room. You'd be surprised how many Muslims don't even know the sunnah. They don't know the hadiths. A lot of these famous men that you guys follow, they're good speakers. They're ruwaybida, very good speakers, but they don't know the hadiths. They memorize the Quran by heart, but they don't know what the Quran means. It's just like memorizing a bunch of songs for them, you know. But when put to trial, put to test, like Allah says in the Quran, you know, we get to see who the true believers are. When we are put to test, put to trial, we get to see who the real learned men are, who the real learned women are, when we're put to test and put to trial. So, you know, it's all about calling ourselves back to our beautiful way of life and practicing it the way we should have been practicing it, with the understanding of the companions and not the understanding of different men and women who are famous of today. Okay. So for this class, we have been studying from the book entitled Diluting. And let me put it up there on the screen again. I keep forgetting to have that up there. Diluting, Wala Wal Bara. Diluting, Wala Wal Bara. Okay. And you can purchase this book at Amazon.com. So for those of you who have not yet, it doesn't matter what part of the world, you know, no matter what part of the world you live in, you can go there and purchase this book. I'm sure there's an Amazon in your part of the world. So as long as there's an Amazon in your part of the world, you shouldn't have no problems purchasing. Okay, but that's it from Amazon.com. The book is $19.99. This is the second of the trilogy. The second of the trilogy on the belief system of the Muslim. Everything begins with and ends with Tawheed, belief in Allah. Everything begins with and ends with that. Okay, so today we're going to begin chapter 14. Chapter 14 of this wonderful masterpiece. And wait a minute, let me also, I'm getting ready to answer that now. Brother here's asking, yes, today is the Q&A too, guys. Let me put that up here. I'm glad you reminded me, brother. Ask Sister Layla live show at 9 p.m. Eastern today. And you can call in at the call-in number 872. Is that it? 370. See if my photographic memory. 2838. I think that's it. Yeah, that's the call-in number for those of you who want to call in your question, or you can come and ask your question live to me. Ask your question live here on YouTube, Zoom, or wherever you are. That's at 9 p.m. So I put it up there. And also, guys, please support this dawah effort. This is the first of the month. We need $2,000 every month to cover our website expenses. That's how much it costs to cover everything, videos and everything. Please support us. Scan that QR code and it'll take you directly to PayPal, and you can donate, or you can Zelle us by sending to Layla, L-A-I-L-A, at Sunnahfollowers.net. If you want to Zelle it, that's even better, because the Zelle doesn't take any money out. Okay? And we need your donations to cover our website expenses. All right, with that said, let's put the PowerPoint up on the screen for tonight's lesson. It's 862. Did I have the right number, family? 862. Let me make sure I got it right. Is it?
Yeah, 862. I think you said 872 or something.
Okay, let me make sure I fix it. Hold on.
86.
It's 862. Okay, let me go to that. I was close. I said 87. Oh, I was close. I said 86. So it's 862. Okay, 86, not 87. Okay, there it is. So now I got it there and show it. Yeah. Okay, let's put the PowerPoint up on the screen for tonight's class. And I'm logged into that kick thing too, in case I have to ban somebody out of there. All right, let's put the PowerPoint up. And today we'll be beginning chapter 14. Oops. We'll begin chapter 14 of the book. Everybody should have their book out and follow along. This is chapter 14. We're going to speak about how, as Muslims, when it comes to allegiance and disassociation, we're supposed to have a balanced approach. We don't want to be too far to the right nor to the left. We don't want to be like the Qadarites, nor do we want to be like the Mu'tazilite, nor do we want to be like the Murriya, or however you say them. Okay, we want to be like the companions, balance. I want you guys to remember, as Muslims, we are a people of dignity, humility, and balance. I say that all the time. We are a people of dignity. We're supposed to be, put it this way. We're supposed to be a people of dignity, humility, and balance. That means we're not too far to the right, nor are we too far to the left. We're right there in that middle. You know, we balance our emotions. Like I said, this is not the time to get emotional. This is not the time to be cursing and arguing and calling people kafirs and fighting with the non-believers and blowing up buildings and all that dumb stuff. This is not the time for that. This is the time to balance yourself and work on your iman. As the prophet said, you brothers, instead of being on the internet calling each other kafirs like y'all do, y'all need to be at the masjid, standing shoulder to shoulder, ankle to ankle, bury the hatchet. We're all Muslim. Put all that garbage aside, that hatred aside, that this sect, this group, and my sheikh, my sheikah. Bury that garbage and get to the mosque and start praying in congregation like the prophet told the companions to do. He told them to bury that tribalism, bury that nationalism, bury that hatred, and that disparate treatment, bury that racism, and unite as one. And fill the mosques up with prayer. Let the people see. Dress the part. Pretend that you have good character. Pretend that you are a person of patience. Pretend that you are a person that can control your anger. Pretend. He said, after so long of pretending, it'll eventually become a habit for you. That's what he told the companion. That hadith is authentic. It's in Sahih Muslim. So this is not the time for that ignorance. Y'all need to, maybe you brothers need to put your YouTube channels to rest. I know a lot of y'all making money off of them. But y'all might need to cut off the YouTube and instead dress like a Muslim and go to the mosque and start praying. We talked about the power of supplication. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam emphasized that that's the greatest weapon we have. That's greater than boycotting or anything else. Okay, but whenever Umar sent an army out, an expedition out, he would remind them the power of supplication and to remind them to make sure that they're not transgressing the limits of Allah, that they're not tearing down trees and killing women and beheading and doing all kind of ignorant stuff like these terrorist groups do today that have caused all this to happen to us. Okay. We have to strike the balance and turn back to our deen, to Islam and its truthfulness with the understanding and practice of the companions, not anyone else. So let's look at this balance. Okay, everybody should be able to see. We talked about how as human beings, there's two different types of love and hate emotions. Either we have conscious love and hate, or we have natural love and hate. The conscious love and hate is when we choose to love something or we choose to hate something. The natural love, the natural hate is what's naturally embedded within us. And we talked about how these are two potent emotions that affect our behavior, and they also affect our interpersonal relationships. This is why I'm telling you, brothers, this is not the time for all that hatred. This is not the time for all that anger. And this is why I say you need to stay away from protesting, because you don't have your emotions under control. You're too close. You're too attached to the situation. That's why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't protest. Let the non-Muslims handle it. They seem to be doing a good job. The rabbis, the unions, the non-Muslims of affluence and power. We even here in America, we got the rap singers. We got the movie stars. The actors are speaking out, requesting a ceasefire. Let the non-Muslims handle that, because we are too attached to the situation and we don't have our emotions under control. And the majority of you brothers that are losing it are in the age category of from 18 to the 35. You guys are young. You brothers are young. Okay? You're not in control of your emotions well. That's why I say maybe you need to shut down your YouTube channels for a minute. Okay? Because you're on the YouTube channel attacking each other, calling other Muslim brothers kafirs and stuff. That we don't do that. You're cursing. We're cursing ourselves. Okay? And this is not what we're supposed to do. So don't protest. Step back. Let the non-Muslims do all that. They're doing a great job. Remember, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said one of the reasons why the Christians will be in the majority over us is because they're able to handle their trials and bounce back with dignity. We lose it. We're too emotional. Okay, this is something that the Christians are good at. They're good at dealing with trials and bouncing back. They use their logic instead of their emotions. So let them handle it like they're doing. They're doing wonderful. Plus, the non-Muslims will listen to their own, not us. They're not listening to us. They don't have no respect for us. Okay, we're too charged anyway. So, hatred. This is a powerful emotion, and this emotion can affect our interpersonal relationships. And these two emotions, love and hate, they also influence our ideology and our commitment and our loyalty. So the concept of love and hate have played a crucial role in establishing us as a nation, as a ummah. And this has been all throughout history. And like I tell you guys, you know, whenever we as a nation are faced with a trial, we should always look to see how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us to handle it. Because there's nothing that any of us are going through today, including Palestine and Gaza. There's nothing that we're going through today that those companions haven't went through even worse. And the Prophet taught us how to handle ourselves. So this is why it's important to learn the hadiths. I've always been a stickler for the hadith. You know, people memorize the Quran, that's nice, but I'm telling you, until you learn those hadiths, you ain't gonna understand the Quran, because the hadiths are the history of our religion. They're the history of our way of life. Those are the written records of how to handle ourselves in good times and bad. And again, there's so many examples, you know, that we can pull from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which will serve as a basis as to how we should conduct ourselves. Okay. So in this chapter 14, what Kareem Abu Zayd puts here is that in this chapter, he's going to examine, we're going to examine the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions, their ways of conveying love, their ways of conveying hatred. We're going to also examine the historical accounts, demonstrating how these emotions can shape our behavior, shape our relationship, shape our ideology, and all of that. Okay, so this is going to be a really good chapter for us to review. And we're going to start off by giving you a little bit of history. We're going to speak about these groups, the different views of the different sects regarding allegiance and disassociation, and see if you can recognize, you know, from the speakers of today. You look on YouTube, some of them are so enraged, some of them are broke down crying, some of them are just talking about kill, crush, destroy. See if you can recognize which group these famous speakers you follow belong in. Because remember, Allah says he sends war and calamities as a means of differentiating who the believers are from the hypocrites, who the strong are from the weak, from who the scholars are from the mere famous personalities. So see if the people you follow fall in any of these groups here. So let's look at the different views of the different sects in regards to allegiance to Allah and distancing. Some of the sects have extreme views, but we as Muslims, remember, everything that we do is supposed to be based on what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions did. But we've deviated away from that. Instead of us following the sunnah of the prophet and the example of the companions, we've taken on our scholars of today, and we have these life coaches, people that we've nicknamed life coaches. Okay? As true Muslims, we're supposed to recognize the importance of showing allegiance to each other based on our good deeds and our good qualities. And if you see another Muslim that's indulging in evil, we disassociate from their evil actions, but not the person altogether. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Say, for example, you know, I'm lailanasheeba and I smoke cigarettes. Let's say I smoke cigarettes. Okay? I pray. I do everything else, dressed apart, sitting here as a diet, teaching. But I like to smoke a cigarette. When I'm behaving, when I'm obeying Allah, when I'm doing what Allah says do, then you have your allegiance to me then. But if I pull out a cigarette and start smoking, that's when you say, hey, I can't sit in the company of you while you do that, Layla. That's wrong. You know you ain't got no business smoking no cigarettes. So I can't, deal with you while you doing that. And that's when you disassociate from me. Okay, but you don't cut me off completely. Does everybody understand that? This is the correct way we should be. The prophet taught the companions, that person is your brother, regardless as to what. As long as he has not denounced La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, he's still a Muslim. He's still your brother. Help your brother. As long and be there for your brother, as long as your brother is doing good. But when you see your brother start drinking or doing something bad, then that's when you advise him and then distance yourself until he stops it. But we don't boycott each other, cut each other off completely. Does everybody understand that? Well, let's see. That's the correct way, because this approach allows unity. This approach also upholds Islamic values and principles. But we got other sects that don't believe this. For example, the Kharijites and the Mu'tazila. Okay? If they see a person doing something wrong, they totally cut that person off. If they find out anything, oh, that brother smokes, well, he's a kafir. So he's a kafir. The Kharijites are the worst. He's a kafir. So we don't take from him. We don't listen to him. We don't take from him. And the Mu'tazila, they're the same way too. Oh, because that sister don't wear a hijab. Okay, she's no good. We don't deal with her at all. We cut her off. But that's the incorrect way. We're supposed to have a balance. When you're doing good, we're there for you. But when you start publicly sinning, I'm going to distance myself from you. But if you need help, I'll be there to help you. We're not going to just leave you hanging to yourself. Does everybody understand that? Okay. Also, there's another group called the Murji'a. The Murji'a. They believe that if a person declares Shahada, they're Muslim. And since they're Muslim, we can't judge them because only Allah knows what's in their heart. We don't judge their actions. We don't judge their deeds. How many of you know Muslims like that? A lot of American Muslims belong to the Murji'a, those sisters on Facebook that tell you, you can't judge me. Yeah, I don't wear a hijab, but I'm a Muslim, so you have to accept me. My actions, my behavior is none of your concern. It's only Allah's concern. So I'm still your sister. So I still come around. You still include me in everything. That's wrong too. So you have the extreme right, which are the Kharijites and Mu'tazila. If a person does something bad, has a bad character or a bad action, they're kafir. We're done with them. We don't deal with them at all. Then you have the extreme left, the Murjiat, who, oh, it's none of your business how I behave or how my character is. My faith is in my heart. That's between me and Allah. You still have to let me around you and accept you. Both of those are wrong. We take the balance. Okay? As Muslims, we're supposed to support each other. And we're also supposed to align ourselves with those people who uphold justice, those people who uphold Islamic values. And we disassociate from anyone who brings about oppression or injustice or ideologies that contradict our Islamic teachings. This is how we maintain that balance. As long as you are not doing anything that contradicts what Allah says, you can hang out with me, okay? But if I see you doing wrong, I'm not going to sit in the company with you, but I'm still here for you. If you need me, call me. Call me if you need me, but you can't hang out with me. Y'all understand that? I had a sister ask the question yesterday to me. She said, Sister Layla, some of my friends are Muslim women, but they don't practice. They don't pray. They don't cover. Some of them smoke cigarettes. She said, and I want to have a get together because these are some terrible times we're going through. And I want to invite some of the sisters over so we can just, let our hair down, she said. She said, but I know in the mosque, the sisters that do practice, they're not going to want to be around those sisters that smoke and, don't practice and don't pray. So what should I do? And so I told her, well, I'm going to tell you what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a man takes on the religion of his friends. So be careful who you choose to be your close friends. He also said association brings about assimilation. So as far as my close friends to hang out with, I'm going to be very selective. But if I want to put on an event like a wedding or just a regular get together, everybody can come, a potluck. That's open to any Muslim sister. Do y'all understand? She couldn't understand the difference. I had to explain it. Then finally she got it. I said, if it's just a gathering for just a personal gathering, I would just bring Latifah and the people close to me. But if I want to have a get together so all the Muslim sisters can relax and, and just chill, then anybody can come. Okay? Because again, that's the balance we take as Muslims. We're balanced. I'm not going to disassociate those sisters because those sisters don't wear hijab. Because those sisters are weak in their faith, in other words. I'm not going to cut them off and leave them hanging. Remember, guys, the Prophet said the greatest weapon that we have against Shaitan is each other. Those sisters are probably depressed. This is a good time to give dawah to them. Invite them to your home. Maybe if they see how how close you sisters that are practicing is, and y'all are including them, that might be an encouragement, the encouragement that they needed to come back and come and conform to the true Islam. Don't isolate these women. Now, if it's a personal little get together, that's something different. Family affair, different. But this is a community event. Invite everybody. All the sisters. She finally got it when I broke it down like that. So that's the balance that we have as Muslims. Okay? And it's essential to maintain balance when it comes to allegiance and distancing. Extremism in either direction can lead to division. It can lead to isolation. It can lead to apostation and harm. Those sisters are they're weaker in faith than you are. So they probably are really having a hard time with what's going on in the world. They need some support. They need somebody to pick them up. If y'all leave them to themselves, they could possibly apostate. Subhanallah. So as Muslims, we're supposed to promote unity. We're supposed to promote justice. We're supposed to encourage and promote righteousness within our communities and beyond that. Okay? So don't isolate those sisters that are not practicing. This is a good time to invite them and give them advice. Let them see your strength, and perhaps your strength will rub off onto them. Okay? Another example, the example of maintaining loyalty. We're supposed to maintain that loyalty even if a brother in faith, is wrong. As believers, it's crucial to recognize the bond of brotherhood. Remember, guys, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in an authentic hadith, help your brother. Even if he is an oppressor, help him. And how can you help the one who is an oppressor? By preventing him or helping him to stop oppressing others. So those sisters that don't practice fall in this category because they're oppressing themselves. Help your sisters. Help your sisters who are oppressing themselves by giving them advice, by including them into your community events, by welcoming them in your gatherings and giving them that attention that they need and explaining things to them. Maybe they're not wearing hijab because they don't know why. You'd be surprised how many women don't know why we wear hijab. You can look on YouTube at these famous women speakers. My hijab is a sign of modesty. That ain't why we wear hijab. My hijab strengthens my relationship with Allah. That ain't why we wear it either. So maybe they've never heard a person break down the true meaning as to why we wear the hijab. And maybe if you explained it to them, then they would take pride in that and they'll start putting it on. Okay? So again, we don't want to isolate and leave the weak Muslims to themselves. Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning. If two groups of Muslims fight against each other, make peace between them. But if one of them continues to rebel, then all of you fight against him until he stops. And if he stops, then make up with him and be just, because Allah loves those who are just. Remember, the believers are nothing but brothers and sisters in faith. So make reconciliation between your brothers and fear Allah. So we don't go around holding grudges against each other. We don't go around calling each other kafirs, calling each other enemies of Allah. I woke up today, turned on YouTube, and a bunch of the young brothers in the UK were calling some older man, a kafir, basically. Because he said that, in his opinion, boycotting is haram. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, okay? But because somebody's opinion is not like yours, can you call him a kafir? You just cursed that brother. You've cursed your own brother. And if he is not a kafir, guess what? It's going to come on you. You done cursed yourself or your children. This is an example how we don't have our emotions in check. You young brothers, y'all got to get it together, man. Get some control over your hate, over your anger, over your jealousy. Okay? You don't ever call a person a kafir, especially not because their view is different than yours. I guess I'm a kafir too, huh? We all kafirs. Everybody's a kafir. Because they don't agree with you. I don't agree with none of the stuff y'all say. So I guess I'm a real kafir, huh? Astaghfirullah, brothers. Y'all got to Get it together. Okay? So this verse here emphasizes the importance of maintaining unity and brotherhood, even in times of hardship. In fact, especially in times of hardship. With what's going on in the world, this is not the time to be sitting up on YouTube making videos, bashing other Muslim brothers, calling them kafirs. This verse of the Quran here instructs us to make efforts to bring two groups together who are fighting against each other. This verse encourages us to strive for justice, to be just and fair. But if a person continues to go around oppressing us, then Islam teaches us that all of us fight against him to try to get him to stop. So, for example, those young brothers in the United Kingdom that's going around calling everybody kafir because they don't agree with them. According to this verse of the Quran, it's the responsibility of all of us, to try to get them young brothers to stop. Okay? Because what they're doing is wrong. We're all supposed to fight against them to try to make them stop. And then if the brothers listen and stop, then we welcome them back into the fold. That's how we're supposed to roll as a nation. But of course, we don't roll this way. We're too divided, too much hatred. Like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah said, our destruction will not come from our enemies. We don't have to worry about Israel. Israel will never have the upper hand over us. We don't have to worry about America. America will never have the upper hand over us. The Allah said our destruction will come from ourselves. We will oppress, imprison, and curse each other. And that's what we're doing. So we're killing each other, cursing each other. We ain't got to worry about Israel. Worry about you oppressing yourself and others. Okay? And again, we can look throughout the history of Islam and we'll see numerous hadiths, from the Prophet and his companions demonstrating how true allegiance and distancing is supposed to be balanced. And we're supposed to live our lives trying to balance ourselves like they did. The companions didn't agree on everything. They had some things that they didn't agree on. Look how many times Aisha had to check Ibn Masud. But did she ever call him a kafir? Because he was wrong about what his views on women? Okay? He was the only companion. None of the companions said that a woman can't wear makeup or show her face. It was just him. But did the other companions call him a kafir and call him an enemy of Islam because his view was not like theirs? No, they didn't behave this way. But this is what we're doing. So now I'm going to give you guys a quiz just to see how well you're understanding the correct way of implementing love and hate in a balanced way. Let's look at the first question here. Question number 1. As Muslims, we should show allegiance to one another's good deeds and character and us disassociate from that person only when he or she does bad. Is this statement true or false? True or false? As Muslims, we're supposed to maintain allegiance to our other brothers and sisters based on the good deeds they do and the good character they have. But if they display bad deeds or bad character, that's when we disassociate. But we don't block them off completely. Is that true or false?
I would say this is true.
Does everybody agree?
Yes.
MashaAllah, good job. Yes, that's true. Again, you don't want to be like the Kharijites and the Mu'tazila. Those are the people that say they call you a kafir. Okay. Oh, because that brother don't pray, he's a kafir. How many of y'all know people that say that? Oh, because that sister ain't wearing a hijab, she's a kafir. Or because you think that makeup is haram, you know, that sister over there is a kafir and an enemy of Allah. How many of y'all have heard brothers say that? Now y'all know who y'all Kharijites are. Y'all know who y'all Mutazilai are. Okay? Okay. Next question. It is haram to support a non-Muslim group that is doing good because they are not Muslim. Is that true or false? Even though a non-Muslim group may be doing something good, we cannot support them in that good because they're not Muslims. Is that true or false? Say, for example, the church next door is having a food pantry. They're giving away food and charity, and they invite us, our mosque, to participate. It is haram for us to join them in serving food to the poor because they are not Muslim. Is that true or false? Y'all understand the question now?
Yeah. I want to answer, but I wanted to wait and see if someone else wanted to take it.
Yeah, you guys get up, get on this microphone. Ifty ain't gonna sit here. Elma, let's hear from Elma. Elma? True or false, Elma? Now, true or false? Khadijah.
I think it's false.
Okay, she said false. Anybody else? Y'all agree with her answer? It is haram to support a non-Muslim group that is doing something good because they're not Muslims. And we cannot support you.
Yes, that's false.
Okay, mashallah, that's correct. So this is false, guys. You know, if the church next door is having a fun, what you call it, donation day, and they come to you and as a mosque and ask you to come and join them with the donation day, as long as the donation day don't include nothing that's donated haram, then you can participate because we enjoying the good and forbid the evil. And remember, the prophet said, enjoying the good and forbid the evil with anyone. It doesn't matter if they're Muslim or not. Okay. Next question, which I think is the last one. Yeah, this is the last question, I think. Abdul smokes cigarettes and he also smokes weed, but he comes to you and asks if you can help him fix his car. Another brother jumps in and says, no, that brother sells weed. That brother smokes cigarettes. We don't help him do anything until he stops smoking weed, till he stops smoking cigarettes. Is this brother correct?
No, he's not correct. We still help our brothers and sisters in Islam, regardless what they're doing. We should just educate them and advise them and help them in the way we can.
Okay, you guys agree with her answer?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not that we disassociate with them completely. It's just that only when they're doing when they're sinning, that's the only time we disassociate with them. But other than that, we help them and advise them.
Exactly, Brother Marar. That's it. Perfect. Great explanation. Yeah, I mean, he's still your brother. He needs some help fixing his car. Go over there and help him. SubhanAllah. Just tell me he can't smoke no weed around you. You take a joint out, you on your own. You take a cigarette out, you on your own. SubhanAllah. You know, we don't turn our back on our brothers and sisters like that. Not like that. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did boycott, but that's a total different. There's certain things, certain sins that a person commits that can fall into that, but not this type. We don't live in no Islamic state. We live in America. Now, it's different. Now, what about this, guys? Say the brother at the mosque. There's a brother at the mosque that decided he's going to be gay. What about that? Brother grew up with you. Y'all were born Muslim, raised Muslim, best of friends. Then one day he comes home and decides he's gay. How do you handle a person? How is our allegiance and disassociation in that case? Person turns gay. What do y'all think?
You distance yourself.
What do you mean by distance yourself?
Disassociate. Anything that you got to do, you advise them, but I don't hang around them. You don't do none of that with them.
And Shamsa, what do you say?
Yeah, the same thing she said.
Anybody else? Now, in a case like that, we cut them off completely. That's a case of boycott completely until that person comes back. I don't hang out with him because you ain't gonna never see him having sex. He gonna do sex in his own, okay? But now, so something like that, if a Muslim comes home and tells you he's gay, if my daughter came home and told me, oh, Umi, I'm gay, she got to go. You're cut off. So there are some sins that we cut the person off completely. That's an outrage. But not wearing a hijab is not one of them. Y'all understand? I don't know if that's the answer you was giving, Mina. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, me personally, I wouldn't, but I didn't know you can cut them off completely. So that was
no, personally, no. This is a case of you cut them off completely. Can anybody tell me why? Why is it that I cut a person like that off completely? If a Muslim,
Allah said that Allah already banned it and killed the whole nation of doing that. So that's why I'm assuming that's why we cut them off, because they're going against what Allah said, everything that they're doing.
Well, smoking marijuana is going against what Allah said too. That's not the answer. Anybody else? Why is it that if a Muslim came to you and told you that he or she was now a homosexual, why is it that we will cut them off completely? The answer is so simple, so obvious.
Because it goes against the morals of Islam.
Smoking marijuana goes against the morals of Islam too. Not wearing a hijab goes against the morals of Islam too. But do we cut these people off for good? Think. I want y'all to use, this is a question of fiqh. The answer is right there in your face.
Is it that we love what Allah loves and hate what he hates?
We love
because
what
he
Allah
homosexual?
loves. Allah hates. Does Allah love marijuana?
Okay, I got you.
Allah doesn't love anything that he made haram. Anybody, let me look on YouTube and see what answer. This answer is so obvious. Faiza, my best student, do you know the answer? Why is it that I cut a person that comes home and announces he's gay off completely?
Is it because he deliberately putting it out there that he is gay and totally going against what Allah said? Because
no, if I don't wear hijab, aren't I still putting it out there that I don't wear hijab? And I disagree with
but the fact that he's announcing it,
that's announcing it too.
Okay, well,
think about it.
What about the fact that it was mentioned that men are for women and women are for men? And
no, that ain't got nothing to do with it. Hijab is for hijab. Marijuana ain't for nobody. It ain't got nothing to do with it. It's so right in your face. I can't believe nobody's getting this right. Why is it? Okay, let me give you another example. What about this? I'm trying to give another one. Oh God, it scared me. Here's a question. Let me see this answer here. Good Lord. Sister, you sure made a big beep on this. You better have it right. And you do. She got it right. I can't believe nobody else got this right but this sister here, and her name is Can't read your name. Good. It's my, oh, mashallah. Her name is Aisha. She got it right. The reason why, if you live in a Muslim country and were found guilty of homosexuality, what's the punishment?
Death.
There you go. If a Muslim kills another Muslim, do we disassociate from him completely? Or do we, we associate with them just when he ain't killing?
No, we disassociate ourselves completely. Because,
why?
Oh, this is because killing a Muslim is like in the Quran, it's like killing humanity.
No. Do you get it, Latifa? You're a teacher. You get it now, Latifa? This sister got it. Because this is capital punishment. These are the sins that bring death in Islam. So that's different. These are also sins that can take you out of Islam. Okay? If a person practices magic, let me give another example. If a person is known for practicing magic, do we cut them off completely? Or do we just deal with them when we think they ain't doing magic? Can anybody answer that one?
Cut them off.
Why?
Because that basically is taking that person out of the fold of Islam.
Magic is a sin of disbelief. The person that practices witchcraft is an unbeliever. The person that's a homosexual, this is capital punishment. This brings about the death sentence if you were in a Muslim country. Okay? So there are certain sins that we do cut you off from, but it's only a few, not all. Just because a person doesn't wear hijab, you don't cut that person off. Because that brother don't have a beard, I'm not cutting him off. That doesn't make him an unbeliever. That doesn't bring about the death penalty. Okay? Do y'all understand now? Does that make sense, Latifa? Does that make sense, Ifti?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. The sins of of disbelief. Okay? This is when we cut you off. The prophet would boycott, throw your behind out of there. Well, no, he didn't. He would kill him. The magician, Umar, radiallahu anha. When Umar would find out that a woman was practicing magic, he'd have her executed. Okay, because these people are not believers. They're unbelievers. Unless they repent. Now, unless she say, okay, Umar, I ain't going to do it no more. Then that's different. Unless the person says, okay, I understand Allah made Eve and not Steve, I ain't going to do it no more. Then we forgive them and we take them in. But if they refuse to repent, what about this? If a Muslim apostates, if a Muslim apostates from his religion, what is our relationship supposed to be like with them? Ifti. Anybody know? Apostation, we cut them off completely too, because this is a apostation that brings death penalty. That's the death penalty, and that's disbelief. The sins of disbelief, we cut you off. But if it's not a sin of disbelief, then that's different. Why is it that the prophet didn't do the funeral prayer of a person that committed suicide? He would have somebody else do it, because that's a sin of disbelief too. Suicide, disbelief, witchcraft, magic, disbelief, tarot card reading, disbelief. People engage in that. Homosexuality, get out, period. Okay? Sins of disbelief and sins like homosexuality that are that gross, that's when we cut them off. But anything else, we deal with them As long as they're doing good, when they're good, we're there. When they're indulging in their sins, we distance ourselves. Does everybody understand? Any questions about that? Yeah, I did a whole series on the sins of disbelief, and I think that's what I'm going to do. When we finish this book, what I will do is another sin of, I will do the series on the sins of disbelief, because there's a lot of sins of disbelief out there that the Muslims are not aware of, you know, and we're going to have to learn. Okay, what's a major sin? Sister Sharmila, Assalamu alaikum, Sharmila. What is a major sin, guys? A lot of Muslims don't know what a major sin is. What is a major sin?
Killing.
That's wrong. Anybody else? What is a major sin?
A major sin is the sins that we commit knowingly, knowing that they are sins.
Exactly. Major sins, Sharmila. These are actions of disobedience that you deliberately, intentionally do. Those are major sins. So that's not the answer. Major sins is not the answer. We don't distance people because they deliberately, intentionally sin. Okay? It has to be a sin of disbelief. Everybody understand? If it's a sin of disbelief, we cut them off. The sins of disbelief, apostation, magic, stuff like that. Everybody understand? I'm going to do a series. I got a series on that I teach. I'll teach about the sins of disbelief after we finish this series. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, you want me to explain it more, brother? Here's a brother asking me to explain the majors. Okay, there's a wonderful hadith. How many of you are familiar with this hadith in Sahih Bukhari? A man had just converted to Islam. He had just taken his shahada. And then a woman that he had been sexually involved with, he was kissing her, hugging her, holding her. And another Muslim saw him and came to him and said, "Astaghfirullah, you can't do that." He said, "You're Muslim now. And as Muslims, we cannot touch a woman that way unless we're married to them." So the man ran to the masjid and he found the prophet. He said, "Oh, prophet of Allah, I'm doomed, I'm doomed, I'm doomed." The prophet said, "What are you doomed for?" He said, "Because I had a woman, I kissed her, I hugged her, I felt her, I did everything except penetrate her. So I'm doomed, I'm doomed, I'm doomed." The prophet said, "You just took shahada, right?" The man said, "Yes." The prophet said, "Didn't you pray the dawah prayer with us?" The man said, "Yes." The prophet said, "Aren't you also getting ready to pray the Asr prayer?" The man said, "Yes." The prophet said, "Then don't you know that Allah forgives you of the minor sins that you commit from prayer to prayer? And whenever you make wudu, Allah forgives you of the minor sins you do with your hands, the minor sins that you've done with your eyes as you wash your face, and so forth and so on." That hadith is from Bukhari. That hadith explains the difference between a major and a minor sin. Now, you and I know, if I went outside and was kissing and grinding and all that bumping and stuff with my man next door, I'm committing adultery. That's adultery. That's a horrific sin. But that man was bumping, grinding, and everything, but it wasn't. Why? Because he didn't know that it was a sin. So the major sins are the actions of disobedience that we do and we know they're wrong. So me kissing and grinding with the man next door is a major sin because I know it's wrong. But for that new shahada who doesn't and didn't know, it's not a major sin. Y'all understand? So that's the difference. Major sins are the actions of disobedience that we deliberately, intentionally do. The minor sins are the mistakes we make. These are the actions of disobedience that we do and we didn't know that we couldn't do them. Y'all understand? So that's the difference between a major sin and a minor sin. And I think the word that so many of us English-speaking people use in the wrong way is major. Now, there are also cardinal sins. Cardinal sins. What is a cardinal sin? The cardinal sins are the worst sins anyone can commit. Those are the 10 commandments. Though that's an example of a cardinal sin is associating partners with Allah. But if a person didn't know it was associating partners with Allah, it ain't no cardinal sin for him either. Okay? So I think when y'all be reading those hadiths where the prophet says, do you know what the cardinal sins are? The word that should be used is cardinal, not major. Cardinal. That's another example of bad translation into English. I learned that from a cousin. That's an example of bad translation into English. Okay? Because Arabic is not the same language. Cardinal would be the English word. What are the cardinal sins? To associate partners with Allah, to kill your children, to disrespect your mother. These are cardinal sins, which means they're the worst sins anybody can commit knowingly. But if you didn't know it was a sin, it ain't no sin. It's a mistake. Y'all understand? Did I explain it, little brother? Let me look at his answer. Yeah, alhamdulillah. He said, mashallah, he said, nobody ever broke that down before like that. Yes. Now you understand the difference, people. Yeah, that English, Yeah, so that's why that man kissing and touching and fondling was a minor sin for him, because he didn't know it was haram. But you know it's haram. If you did it, it wouldn't be a minor sin. It would be major, because it's an act of deliberation. Okay. All right, guys, we're going to stop right here for tonight. For right now, we do have the Call In and Ask Sister Layla live show tonight. That's at 8 p.m. At 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Central. Okay. The Call In and Ask Sister Layla show. Bring your questions here. You don't have to call them in. You can type them on the screen and I can read them and I'll answer them, inshallah. But if you want to call them in to be anonymous, you can. In fact, I just charged up that cell phone. Let me turn that thing on. And so if you want to call in, you can, but you can just come here and type your questions live on the screen and we'll have a sister read them for you, inshallah. And that's at 9 o'clock. And let me show the intro for that too, just to show y'all that little intro thing. Yeah. Where is it? That's it. Yeah. By the way, what are you getting a piercing at? Let's talk about it.
Wait a minute. Time for the Ask Sister Layla live show. Lines are now open. 862-370-2838.
So that's going to be at 9 o'clock, inshallah. So inshallah, I'm going to log out for right now. And inshallah, I'll see everybody back here at 9 for the call-in show. And by the way, Sheikh Morsi will be on standby to help to answer questions if it's something that I can't answer. So, feel free to bring any of your questions, inshallah. All right, so we're going to close out for now. We'll be back at 9, inshallah, in 1 hour. We'll be back in 1 hour, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.